What's happening, guys? We're back. We're gonna work on the clutch today. All right, so last episode we got all the brakes done. They're plumbed. I still haven't bled them, but the brakes are for all intents and purposes done. So that's 1 out of 3 of the pedals that we need to control this thing. So I think we're gonna get rolling on the other 2. We'll start with the clutch pedal, which is basically just some more plumbing. I need to put the slave cylinder on and mount I have another one of those like chassis bulkheads for some flexi line. And then I went and bought the adapters for that Wilwood compact master cylinder on the clutch, because it's a 1/8 MPT outlet. So you basically have to have some sort of adapter, whether you go to like an AN fitting or a, what I'm doing, I'm going to the inverted flare. So we can just run our brake line, our hard line down to the bottom, and then put one of those bulkheads on and run a little piece of flexi line. I'm probably going to replace all of the master cylinders on here. The brake master cylinders are too big, and they're those like combination masters that are meant to really have the reservoir right on top. And then the compact one that I have on the clutch is great, but it also has that kind of goofy fill port on the top. Wilwood does make a line of master cylinders that is made to be like hard line plumbed in for the reservoir, which I really like. I think that looks super cool. So we might go to those. It would tidy up underneath our dash a little bit, give us a little bit more room. So, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna run with what we got right now. So I'm gonna screw on one of these adapters. I'm gonna find the slave cylinder. It's around here somewhere. We'll put that on the transmission and we'll look to see how we can route our clutch line. All right, we got a slight issue. I'm gonna take you guys under the car. Hopefully you can see what I'm working with here. So the slave cylinder went on no problem. It's pretty dark down here. So here's our slave cylinder. I'm trying to see what I'm pointing at here. It's really dark. Yeah, so here's our slave cylinder, and there's the rod on the back side here that comes out of it and pushes up against this. This is our clutch fork. This is what actually like pushes on the clutches. When I installed the slave cylinder though, this rod in here is still loose. There's no tension on this rod. And I feel like there should be. I feel like this should be pushing on that rod and then like to compress this. I don't know, we'll have to pull the slave cylinder apart to see what's going on in there, to see if there's a reason that this piston is so far this way. But for right now, we'll plumb it in. We got it mounted. The line fits pretty good. We're gonna notch this little piece of the frame later anyhow, and then this flexi line will run up into the tunnel right there, and then we can run hard line from there. So what we'll do is we will run the hard line. I won't be able to actually weld the bracket on to hold the chassis bulkhead because it's like right next to the transmission. But we'll run the line and everything, get it all mounted, plumb in the master cylinder there. I gotta strip this all apart anyhow, probably in the spring. So then we'll finish up those welds and everything, but we can plumb it in, and at least then we'll have the lines in the right spot. So let's do that. All right, that's kind of the general shape of that clutch line. I think before I get too far ahead of myself here, I'm gonna pull that slave cylinder out and just take a peek at it and see, I might even hook it up and put a little bit of pressure in it and see if that piston comes out further. I don't wanna go through all this hassle unless I'm actually gonna get something at the end of it. Because if the clutch has to come out to get replaced anyhow, I'll just do this, bend up this line when I got the engine and transmission out. So I'll pull the slave cylinder out again and we'll throw it on the bench and see what it looks like. All right, it's pretty gross inside the cylinder here. I don't know what I was expecting. Of course it is. It's been sitting with water and junk inside of it forever. I might end up having to buy a new slave cylinder, but I think what we'll do is we'll try to push the piston out of it with the air compressor, see if it'll pop out, and then we can give the inside of this cylinder a really good Scotch-Brite, and then see what the condition of the seals are, and then if they're all good, we'll put it back together again and give it a whirl. That worked out perfect. Almost perfect. All right, the seal actually looks to be in pretty good shape on this piston. It's pretty crusty, but I think it'll be fine. There's no tears or nicks in it. So it's just been sitting in dirty old brake fluid for a really long time, which is kind of collected on it, I'll say. So that looks okay. The cylinder is pretty rusted, but what I think I'll do is reinstall the piston and then give this a good bath of WD-40 and Scotch-Brite and clean it all up, and I think it'll be just fine for right now, and then we can reinstall it. So upon looking at it, it makes complete sense why it was loose on the clutch there. This piston was backed all the way down, so obviously there was no clutch pressure, right? So I think when we install it, after we pump it up a little bit, the piston will come out to kind of find that happy medium. And then there is a spring in here, which I thought would, oh, never mind. I thought it would give like a little bit of clutch pressure, but the spring is like, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see that. It's like whisper thin. That's probably just to keep the piston from smashing at the bottom. So I'm gonna reassemble this, get it all cleaned up, and put it back on the car. Forgot to put the adapter on. All right, it's super ugly and that line is not quite the right shape and I can't get in there to secure it in any way, so it's kind of flopping around in there. But it works. I think it works. I still don't have brake fluid, so I still can't bleed the system and check it. But that's plumbed in at least now. The next step, and I think we have a little bit of time today to at least get started on it, is the throttle cable. So I went and picked this up. This is a 36 inch LS style throttle cable. And I bought this one specifically because I can cut it. So it's the, this end has just got like a set screw in it. So I can actually shorten the cable, and then I can also, if I pop this off right there, I can also cut this guy here and shorten the casing. So I can make it a custom length. Now, I don't think I'm gonna have to. So I'm going to pull the air filter off, clean up the top of the motor here a little bit, and I'm gonna show you guys how I think we're gonna have to run this. And it's gonna be a bit of a pain in the butt. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I think we'll be able to run our cable kind of like that right there and mount it kind of just right above the pivot point on our gas pedal there. And then this end has a clevis on it, which is the exact almost right size for a piece of our 1/8 inch aluminum plate. So what we'll do is we'll pop the pedal out of here, we'll weld on a piece of plate that sticks straight out, and then we'll figure out how much throw we need to go to full throttle, and then we'll drill a hole in this plate that'll give us the appropriate amount of travel on our cable for the appropriate amount of travel on our gas pedal. We don't want the gas pedal to be, we don't want to run out of travel on it. We also don't want, you know, the difference between idle and full throttle to be a hiccup. So we'll do that. We'll weld this piece onto the pedal there, and then I'm gonna have to build a bracket that comes off of our pedal box bracket here to hold our cable. And then we're also going to have to shorten our cable, it looks like. I'm going to put our air intake back on to make sure that it'll clear. I think it will. And then we're going to have to cut a hole in the cover piece that goes over top of here and make it kind of like a split. Make somewhere for it to split open. So that's the plan. Let's give it a whirl. All right, guys, I hate to end an episode right in the middle of a project, but I'm completely out of time, and there's no way that I'm gonna get that throttle cable hooked up today. So we're gonna leave it there. We got the clutch plumbed in, and then we got a good start on the throttle cable. We built that little bracket that we're gonna weld onto the throttle pedal. But I also need to build a second bracket that will get welded onto the pedal box that'll hold that like outer guide sheath. And then it looks like if we mount it where it's mounted right now, the throttle cable will kind of poke right out the bottom corner of this. So what we might be able to do is, rather than cutting this up and doing something funky there, we might just be able to put like a little grommet or something right in the corner there, and snake the throttle cable out and save ourselves some hassle on that front. So that's my thoughts. I'll probably come out here and hopefully finish the throttle cable over the week. I'll go get some brake fluid and bleed the brakes and the clutch. And then I think we're just about done in terms of controls. The next big thing that I need to do is I need to figure out a way to mount my seats, because up until now they've just been sitting on a piece of 2x4. So I need to buy some seat sliders, and then we need to weld in a couple of cross braces into the floor pan area, and then mount the seats, because if I do get this thing to the point that I can go out and spin donuts in the snow, I want to have a seat that I can sit in. So that'll be the next thing on the list, but that'll have to wait. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Go check us out on Instagram, Left Foot First Media. If you guys like what we're doing here and you want to support the channel, hit us up on Patreon. Patreons get all of our episodes a week early. We're also working on some additional things for the Patreons, but quite frankly, it's been super busy lately, so we haven't got around to it. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm out of here.